is a spiritual deity. Freedom and liberty and justice shall fight for you. When you fight for freedom with all your soul, take it from me. This is Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB, the voice of the nation, the voice.
This is the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB.
A very warm welcome to Biafrans all over the world listening to us today, and those who will listen to this program later on in the coming weeks and months. I want you to pay special attention to the things we are saying and to be alive to who you are and why God created you a Biafran, an Igbo, an Ijaw, Efik, Ibibio, Igbo Akere, Ogoni, Ogoja, Oron, and so on. It's important you are alive to why God situated you in the southeastern part of the River Niger, or the lower Niger area of present-day artificial colonial creation known as Nigeria. Before I go on, let me congratulate AVID, American Veterans of Igbo Descent, for a very successful conference last weekend. I give special thanks and appreciation to Chief Onya, the president of AVID, for all the good work he is doing together with his team. Now, prior to 1914, Nigeria did not exist. This is a fact. The indigenous nationalities that existed in the then northern and southern colonial protectorates thrived. The kingdoms of Ijaw, Bini, Igbo, even before the amalgamation, established solid trade links with the Europeans and were hugely successful. Their lands were and still blessed with human and material resources, the likes of which are not seen in any part of this world, arguably. God made it so, and it is not a mistake. Now, you must know and be constantly reminded why the Western world, the colonialists and invaders hate you, why they hate us, especially the Igbos, and why they want to keep us under subjugation in perpetuity. Never you at any point underestimate the fear and the hatred the British have for the Igbo in particular, and Biafrans at large. The policy they have for all Biafrans, not only the Igbo, is the same, which is to deny them any type of expression, to demonize them before the world and suppress them, and to deny them power and limit them economically. The reason they are doing this is obvious, because they know Biafrans, especially Igbos in particular, can inspire other Africans to greater heights economically, scientifically, industrially, and otherwise. This is why innovators like Innocent and business people like Ibeto will be stifled under the Nigerian environment, and people like Dangote are given maximum leverage. And even when their new refinery is not completed, the federal government of Nigeria will go and commission it as completed and abandon the refineries in Port Harcourt, Iguacha, and Warri. They are left to rot away. This is also why some known criminals like Abba Kyari will be released, and innocent freedom fighters like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu are left to languish in DSS dungeon, regardless of favorable judgments by courts of competent jurisdiction. This is also why Mr. Peter Obi, having won the presidential election, will not be allowed to be president. And it's also why the sham presidential election petition tribunal, riddled with corrupt judges, will brazenly deny Peter Obi and millions of Nigerians justice, because they are part of the vicious order that are determined to keep indigenous peoples who are desperately demanding for autonomy and self-determination under continued unimaginable, stifling conditions in the name of one Nigeria. Our fight for freedom, liberty, and equity couldn't be more moral, more noble, and more just, especially in the light of the recent wind of change blowing across West Africa and the Sahel region. It is abundantly clear to all and sundry that the problems we face, which has subjected us to decades of poverty, suffering, and death, in the face of abundant material and natural resources, are multifaceted and stems from the insatiable hunger for power and control of resources of Africa by the Western colonial powers, including Britain, France, Belgium, Germany, United States of America, and to some extent, and disappointingly so, the State of Israel. However, what is most disappointing, perhaps, is the disunity within Africa, and to a greater extent within Biafrans, as we grapple with ways and means to liberate ourselves from this quagmire. We find ourselves in a situation that is hard to escape because there is no easy solution. But there is a solution nonetheless, which means there is hope. And where there is hope, then there is life and there is light, because the presence of light is the absence of darkness. Those of us who have volunteered their service to the enemy as willing tools to disrupt and damage the genuine struggle for the restoration of the independent state of Biafra should now see that it is an exercise in futility. The struggle cannot be stopped. It is a moving train. The restoration program is absolutely non-violent. In the late 1990s, when the movement for the actualization of the sovereign state of Biafra, MASOB, re-emerged, it was based on this non-violent approach, and by extension, a legal, diplomatic, and political methodology. It is a process that should organically metamorphose into a humongous movement, giving renewed hope to our people and not to further impoverish them and put them in harm's way. Civil disobedience mechanisms of election and census boycotts and sit at home were employed at different stages to great effect. because they were well coordinated and had the buy-in of the people. Never was any of these employed to kill, maim, or increase the suffering of Biafrans by destroying the economic background of Biafra land. Anyone who is forcefully implementing sit-at-home is an enemy of Biafra and a clog in the wheel of the restoration project. I give huge credit to leader of IPOB, a prisoner of conscience, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, for his courage to condemn even from the dungeon of DSS the senseless, incessant sit-at-homes engineered from overseas, which has had catastrophic effect in our beloved homeland. I am very glad now that Biafrans are beginning to wake up and are resisting such nefarious orders from people who are in the comfort and safety of the Western world. Let me be clear. Anytime BGIE demands greater sacrifice from you at home, I will be on the ground with you. I will stand with you on the sacred soil of Biafra to make the same sacrifice that I demand of you. We shall never do anything, I repeat, anything, to expose you to unnecessary danger from the safety of our homes in Europe and America. Any agitation for freedom is always a long and odious journey. It is always a marathon and not a sprint. So it will take time. We in BGIE shall continue to pursue and explore diplomatic channels while walking through trusted back channels to build deep-rooted machineries that would eventually support our final push towards exiting from Nigeria and becoming a free, independent, prosperous nation, which our forebears fought and died for. If you are carrying arms and hiding away in any bushes in Biafra land, taking orders from individuals who are abroad, and their families are in the comfort and safety of the developed world, I want you to think again. This system will not work. It had never worked, and it will not work. And I can tell you loud and clear that you are being deceived. You are not doing so in the name of Biafra. You are putting yourself and your future in jeopardy. I urge you to turn around now and go home. Finally, Biafra Government in Exile, BGIE, is one. It is a legal body established in Washington, D.C., United States of America, in the year 2006. At the same time, the Biafra House was opened by our then leader, late Dim Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu. BGIE symbolizes that even though Biafra lost the war, the nation of Biafra and her government did not die to the war. The remnants of Biafrans who survived, together with the government officials who moved into exile with our leader, still exist and will continue to seek ways to restore the nation of Biafra. Anyone or group of people who have connived to use the name of BGIE wrongly and to bring it to disrepute are doing so at their own risk. and without our permission. I urge Biafrans all over the world to disregard these miscreants who are using BGIE in the wrong fashion. I urge you to stop making financial contributions to them, because you will only be enriching their private pockets. I thank you for listening to us today, and God bless you, and may God bless our nation, Biafra.
This is BCB, the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, bringing you the news headlines for the week. In the news this week, Reps panel asked Tinubu to release Nnamdi Kanu unconditionally. Niger coup. I'm holding back ECOWAS orders from military invasion. Tinubu. Niger Republic. Northern Nigeria are one. El Rufai warns against military invasion by ECOWAS. Stay tuned for the details of the news coming up shortly. From The Guardian, Reps panel asked Tinubu to release Nnamdi Kanu unconditionally. House of Representatives ad hoc committee set up to interface with security agencies to reduce kidnapping, assassination, and banditry in and around Isukwuato and Umunochi local councils of Abia State has called on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to release leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. The lawmakers said unconditional release of Nnamdi Kanu is the main panacea for peace in the southeast. Chairman of the committee, Obinna Agwocha, made the plea at a hearing of the committee yesterday, saying, as we navigate the complexities of security concerns, we must also be prepared to tackle the roots of these issues at their core and work to ensure lasting solutions that would stand the test of time. He noted, absolute peace, reduction of crime and criminality, investment in meaningful infrastructure development, ending the unproductive sit-at-home, and improving economic growth and opportunities in the southeast start with government's recognition of the rule of law, justice, and equitable inclusion of the southeast zone in Project Nigeria, and the unconditional release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu from unlawful detention to ensure lasting peace and security in the entire region. The House had, prior to embarking on its ongoing recess, pledged to wade into the matter following a similar demand through a motion. Agwocha said, the challenges we face are not mere statistics or headlines. They are real-life manifestations that affect the lives of our people, disrupt the functioning of our institutions and communities, thus impeding growth of our region. According to the lawmaker, instances of criminal activities, banditry, kidnapping, assassination, communal and religious clashes, and threats to life have shaken the very foundation of society. Therefore, as leaders and stakeholders, it is incumbent upon us to come together, transcend our differences, and find sustainable solutions that will quell these threats and pave the way for a brighter future. He added, we recognize that insecurity cannot be combated by one entity alone. It does require a collective, multifaceted approach and encompasses various perspectives and expertise of law enforcement agencies, community leaders, policymakers, scholars, and citizens. The cross-border dynamics of the primary focus areas bring additional complexity to the challenge of the task ahead. The common borders shared with 4 other states connect the primary focus area to Ebonyi State, Enugu State, Imo State, and Anambra State. The opportunity for interstate collaboration presents itself and must be explored to foster regional participation. The challenges faced by one state ripple across its neighbors, and therefore our strategies for resolution must be all-inclusive. By synergizing our resources, expertise, and perspectives, we can create a stronger front against insecurity and strengthen the bonds that bind us together. Our second headline from the Premium Times: Niger coup. I'm holding back ECOWAS, others from military invasion, Tinubu. Nigeria's president, Bola Tinubu, says he is the one holding back ECOWAS and other unnamed forces from invading Niger to restore constitutional order in the country. President Tinubu, who is also the chairperson of ECOWAS, heads of states and government, said this Thursday during a meeting with Nigerian Islamic clerics who are acting as mediators with the Niger junta. I am managing a very serious situation. If you take ECOWAS aside, other people will react, those who are outside of our control. I am the one holding those sides back. I am the one holding back ECOWAS, he said, according to an account of the meeting sent to Premium Times by the spokesperson. The Nigeria leader, however, told his guests that he could not delay such military intervention for too long, and so they must hasten their dialogue with the Niger junta. Although Mr. Tinubu did not name the other people he was referring to, it could be a reference to France, whose troops are stationed in Niger and have refused to recognize the authority of the junta. It is reported how, despite Mr. Tinubu's appeal, ECOWAS heads of states approved a military intervention in Niger and ordered the deployment of ECOWAS standby force in the country to ensure the return of President Mohamed Bazoum to power if dialogue fails. Mr. Bazoum was removed in a coup by soldiers last month, and it is still being detained alongside members of his family. Despite the ECOWAS resolution, which has since been supported by the African Union and the United Nations, many Nigerians are opposed to military intervention in the neighboring country. The Islamic clerics who met with Mr. Tinubu volunteered to mediate the crisis due to their opposition to war and the close ethnic religious ties between Nigeria and Niger. Nigeria will be expected to deploy the largest number of troops as part of the ECOWAS force should a military intervention proceed. The chairman of the ECOWAS Authority, heads of state and government, President Bola Tinubu, has implored a delegation of Islamic scholars who were previously engaged in discussions to facilitate the restoration of the constitutional democratic governance in Niger Republic to expedite progress in their ongoing dialogue with the military junta. The president received a comprehensive briefing on Thursday at the State House in Abuja from the ulamas who were led into the meeting by Sheikh Bala Lao. The briefing followed Ulama's most recent visits to Niger Republic. The Islamic leaders had informed the president that the military junta was open to deepening the dialogue with ECOWAS as more steps are being taken to forestall armed conflict, with a more detailed acceptance of ECOWAS position by the military council officials. And still on the issue of the coup in Niger Republic, Politics Nigeria reports, Niger Republic, Northern Nigeria are one. El Rufai warns ECOWAS against military invasion. Former Kaduna State Governor Nasser El Rufai has urged the Economic Community of West Africa States, ECOWAS, to halt its planned military intervention in Niger Republic. The former governor said this following a statement by ECOWAS defense chiefs that they would not have any choice but to use force against Niger. Politics Nigeria recalls that the chairperson of ECOWAS, President Bola Tinubu, recently said the regional bloc had resolved to use force as a last resort if the Niger coup leaders do not relinquish power to the ousted President Mohamed Bazoum. While advising ECOWAS to tread with caution, El Rufai said African nationals are brothers, and war in any country with the region will be injurious to all. As ECOWAS beats the drums of war, I recall the 1970s rock classic by Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms, because a war within our sub-region is a war between brothers. Indeed, the people of Niger Republic are one and the same with those living in northern Nigeria, El Rufai said by Twitter. Let us bend, therefore, over backwards to avoid the civil war between brothers. ECOWAS has, however, not ruled out the option of sending troops to confront the coup leaders after toppling the democratic government of President Mohamed Bazoum. And that brings an end to our news headlines for the week. This is BCB, the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, saying thank you for listening and goodbye, friends.
This is Rosama, and this is BCB, the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra. Like us on Facebook and YouTube. Biafrans, let's get wiser. Thank you for listening to us today. Join us next time for news, cultural, and educational programs. This is the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB.
Hail to Biafra, consecrated nation. O Fatherland, these people's holy pledge, defending thee shall be our dedication. victory. Wisdom, oh mighty rock. Oh God, protect us from the heathen pitfall. Guide all our movements, lest we go astray. Give us the strength to heed the hill that is hard, to give and not to count the cost each day. Bless those who rule to